Hello, everyone. You are watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina and National Parents Union. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. Hello to America's beautiful children. We love you. And so today I will be going through some information that is vital. On Tuesdays, I'm going to try to go through information pertaining to your region as I get requests. And so I hope you enjoy and I hope you learn exactly what I want you to understand about where you're at, how to you have control over your kids' education where you're at. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me, Christina at mpunion.org. You can drop them in the chat. And so I'm so glad to be here with you beautiful, obedient citizens of the pandemic. I know that it's tough. We just manage moment by moment, day by day, so that we thrive. So I'm going to start today, Tuesday, Policy Watch, and understanding what is happening in Michigan with homeschool, right? And what are your rights? Are you able to homeschool? What are the age limits? All of that stuff that may be concerning to some parents. And so I'm going to bring the screen up and I'm going to show you about my process. What I want you to know is that when I'm looking into what is the rules around education, I always start with the compulsory attendance rulings, okay? So each state has what is mandated for compulsory attendance. They have ages, they have content, what is supposed to be standard-based according to age and grade level, and then they have rulings around, where the children are supposed to be at school age and what that looks like. So this is the first thing that I'm going to bring up for you. All right. So right here, as you can see, I am on the government website for the Michigan legislature. So what the state deems as their school or education code is what is supposed to be complied with, right? Through your local educational association. That is what guides your state's policies and laws and rules around education. Some of it is federal. I'm not going to go into that. We're just going to stick with what is here. So right here, as you can see, in the right-hand corner, what I like to do is make sure that I look at the date. When was the last time that this was updated? Because it can be very concerning when you open the school code and you see Act 451 of 1976, then you start to you don't know if that's the number or the year, and then you start to read through it and you see these dates like, 2009, is this up to date? So since that can be concerning for us as parents, I like to see when the last time the page was updated and the information was updated. And as you can see right here in the right-hand corner, it's 2020. So I'm going to navigate this with you and show you the things that you should be looking for that are your rights, that are applicable to your children, and how you can make sure that you activate your rights and advocate for them. So the compulsory attendance at public school, enrollment dates, and exceptions are here, right? So basically what this is saying is that all children ages 6 through 18 need to be in some type of educational environment. When you go down, you can see right here, number 2, a child becoming 6 years of age before December 1st shall be enrolled on the first day of school of the school year in which the child's 6th birthday occurs, okay? And then they start talking about children that become 6 after December 1st, right? So you need to know where your child falls into that category. Now, Number 3 is important because that's when you start getting the rulings around what is classified as attendance in a public school. And it says right here, a child is not required to attend a public school in any of the following cases. The child is attending regularly and being taught in a state-approved non-public school. There's rules around what a non-public school looks like. A non-public school does have to have certificated teachers, and it delineates that, right? Which teaches subjects comparable to those taught in public schools to children of corresponding age and grade. So that means that if you have a 6-year-old that goes to a non-public school, they need to be learning standards or curriculum or content just like the other 6-year-olds who go to a traditional public school, comparable to those taught in the schools of the district, right? Now, it's going to continue to go further in about resident stuff. You may want to take a look at this. I'm just kind of guiding you to how this whole thing works and what to be looking for, specifically in particular to your rights if you're in the state of Michigan. And it shows the exceptions. Now, here is where you see number 4. So number 4 will say you do have an exception for a child being educated at the child's home by his or her parents or legal guardians. Exemptions from the requirement to attend a public school may exist under either subsection 3A or 3F or both, okay? So here's the thing. When you're talking about, do I have, if you're in the state of Michigan, the right to homeschool my child? Absolutely. Now, I know that there was some issues that had arisen with legislation that were a little bit confusing. Let's talk about that. So that was the legislature, okay? And I will drop all of this information in the chat. The revised school code, section 3801561. You see it's up to date right here in the corner. Always make sure when you're looking at policy or rules or anything surrounding your child and the school code, you see the dates, look at all the dates, okay? Sometimes things get revised and maybe not updated on websites. You gotta make sure. Now here, the DOE, or the Department of Education, has set forth the Code of Educational Ethics, right? What does that mean? Well, it's basically saying how we're going to take what the legislature has said as far as compulsory attendance and map that all out, okay? What are their roles and responsibilities? What is the responsibility of parents, students, school community? You see that right here where it says principals, okay? Responsibility to the profession, responsibility for professional competence, responsibility to students. So they take what has been set forth through the legislator for compulsory attendance, meaning the average age of attendance child has to attend by law, 6 to 18, used to be 6 to 16, but that got expanded in Michigan because of some other rulings. How is that going to work? And we're going to put that into our code of ethics, okay? Now, this should be what is guiding the LEAs, right? And so you can see right here, they have all of this information, kind of something that will take a little time to go through. If you have any questions about it, I definitely can answer their questions. I'm not going to really go into this information today, but what I am saying is that let's talk about your right to homeschool. Okay, so I just wanted to show that to you, that there is a code of educational ethics. Let me tell you something, as parents and community, we have to hold them accountable for their own code of educational ethics sometimes, and that's okay. So it's very important that you know, so that when you hold accountability, you know what you're holding accountability for, and that your voices are reflected in all of these aspects of the creation, the laws, the rules, the policies. You need to be there with your authentic voice telling them this is what our needs are in our area, and tell your local school districts, your boards, your non-public schools, whatever. You need to be voicing and holding accountable, holding a task over every single dot, every single I dotted and T crossed in this educational code, which I showed you here and right here. Okay, because I will tell you that if you violate a part of it, you will be held accountable. Now, let's look into one of the subsections, and we'll see from the Department of Education, they have delineated for you, okay, homeschooling in the state of Michigan, okay? So you have the right to homeschool. You have the right to homeschool and not have to report to the state. It's voluntary, okay? The law requires a parent or legal guardian of a child from age 6 to 16. Remember I said that has been revised. Right here it says that the law was amended in 2010 to increase the compulsory school attendance from age 16 to 18 for a child who turned 11 after that December 1st. We were kind of talking about how if your child turns 6 after the December 1st date, then they're gonna, not be able to attend the local school because of age compliance issues and all of that. But we're not going to go into that. Unless you have a question, definitely, I'm here to answer that. But right here, you see, these are the compiled laws under MCL 380.151. So if you put in your search engine, MCL 380.151, you're going to get the code on homeschooling. Definitely share that information. Definitely know your rights so that you can advocate for them, right? Who may homeschool? It says it right here, and you can see in the corner, Michigan Department of Education, homeschooling in Michigan in alliance and in compliance with the revised school code. Here you see it right here. Who may homeschool? Homeschool education is the responsibility of the parent or legal guardian. The parent assigns homework, gives tests, and grades these tests. The issuance of report cards, transcripts, and diplomas are also the responsibility of the homeschool family based on internal standards. If you are continuing to homeschool through 12th grade, the parent issues the high school diploma to the graduate. This is not the same in all states, okay? Some states have different standards of how you're going to educate. Like here in California, we have to fill out a private school affidavit showing our intent to privately home educate our children, how we're going to meet that standard, and so you want to definitely, if you're looking into educating your child from home, you definitely want to keep your reports intact, the areas that you taught them in, just in case the local district questions your authority to do so, because it can happen, okay? So here we're talking about the reporting process, right? What does that look like? The reporting process, annual reporting of a home school to the Michigan Department of Education is voluntary, like I said, but it, can come under question, and I've seen it happen before, so you definitely want to record how you're educating your child effectively and in the key content areas for home. This code delineates those subject areas, and what they should be learning should be comparable to that of children their age in the local schools that are not homeschool, or maybe non-public schools are held to the same standard, right? Used to be you had to be a certificated and all this other stuff, and it got really involved in that area. But now they're telling you exactly what your rights are. Okay, so there is an exception though. Okay, if your child is eligible for special education services from a local public school or intermediate school district, it is recommended the parent first submit a completed non-public school membership form to MDE if you're going to be requiring special education services, okay? And then it tells you where to go and get that form. Before the services are established, the school will contact MDE for verification that this process is complete. So homeschool is often, you know, if there's no local charter school that you're able to homeschool from, they're telling you it's voluntary and the responsibility of you and your family, meaning you consume the cost, okay? You consume the cost. There are lots of networks and tons of resources for parents that are deciding to homeschool, sharing resources, sharing information. You do not have to be afraid, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford this? You know, a lot of times when people are deciding whether or not they're going to at home educate their child, first thing that comes to mind is, am I capable? And is there going to be a hefty cost consumed? You know, you presumably thinking that you're going to have to spend a lot of money. Actually, it costs a lot less than you think to educate effectively and adequately educated child, and you are your child's primary educator and best educator, so don't doubt yourself, and it's not something that's fearful, okay? There's tons of resources, there's support. If you would like those resources and support, definitely reach out to one of us at National Parents Union. I do not want you to feel afraid about approaching your own child's education. I want you to be confident and fortified in understanding your rights, your role, your responsibility, and the government's responsibility, right? Because they've delineated what yours is. And so you need to understand how to be equipped to best advocate for yourself and your family and your children so you thrive. Now, if you're requesting special education services, definitely, you know, make sure that you do that through their process. If it is something that you're interested in, I know homeschoolers that do not, you know, request special education services from their LEAs, from their local schools or school districts. They don't do that. They figure things out, you know, and have out external assessments, you know, which may or not be, depending on your area, what you want. A list of registered homeschools is provided to intermediate school district attendants, and this is that non-public school area that we're talking about in that list, okay? This is going to be according to their rules and their guidelines, not parents educating, but there are going to be some qualifications that have to be met in the non-public schools with certificated teachers and other requirements. And it says those requirements right here. I'm breaking this down for you so that you can understand what your rights are. A parent or legal guardian who homeschools his or her child is not required to hold a valid Michigan teaching certificate, permit, or occupational authorization, okay? Now, right here is what I want you to pay attention to, because I think that this is where people can get intimidated if you don't know. So the more you know, the better positioned you are. Now, it says a parent or legal guardian reporting to MDE must have a minimum bachelor's degree to be approved unless they claim a sincerely held religious belief against teacher certification. Reporting is if the parent or legal guardian is seeking eligible special education services. So this is the murky area about who is going to be qualified, okay, and who is not. if you're seeking these educational services, special educational services. And I want to show you this case, People versus Dijon. Okay, you have right here the case. Okay, so what did this case say? Well, apparently there was a suit that was brought up, violation of our rights as citizens. You can do that, you know. So the People versus Dijon, the outcome was, is it constitutional to require parents who conduct homeschooling for their children to provide instructors certified by the state, right? So basically, you see here who the defendants were and what happened. I'm going to be throwing that in the chat. You can look it up. At issue was the constitutionality, right? They won. We hold that teacher certification requirement is unconstitutional violation of free exercise clause of the First Amendment as applied to families whose religious convictions prohibit the use of certified instructors. Such families, therefore, are exempt from the dictates of the teacher certification requirement. Why do you need to know that? Why do you need to be armed with that? Well, because if anyone tells you that you're breaking the law and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're homeschooling your kid, you have something to turn to and say, no, under this ruling, I have the right to educate my child, whether it's special education or not, under my religious convictions, and you cannot say that I have to use certified instructors to do so. Activate your rights. Go back to that. It shows you the case right there. Here's an exception to the rule, right? Now, look at the course of study. What does the area have to include? What are you, once you decide to homeschool or not, pick a non-public school or not, or have your child stay within the confines of the local district, what is it that they're supposed to be learning, right? Every grade level, the course of study has to include math, reading, English, science, social studies, in all grades, and the Constitution of the U.S., the Constitution of Michigan, and the history and present form of civil government of the U.S., the state of Michigan, and the political subdivisions and municipalities of the state of Michigan in grades 10, 11, and 12. I really do think that it's highly important to be teaching your child about government institutions, rules, policies, law, like how does a bill become a law? What is the role of our local elected officials? What is the role of the state? What is our rights as citizens all throughout the course of their life, right? These things change, not the Constitution per se, but there are rulings and precedents that are coming out of the Constitution. You can read them. A lot of people would not, maybe you would, but important that your children understand the processes, right? They need to be able to understand what local, state, and federal government functions are. And so some people may be, well, I don't want my kids to learn this. Even if they don't agree, they should know that. And so those are areas that definitely speak out to me. Basic stuff, math, reading, English, science, social studies in all grades, right? And now, here is the thing that a lot of people are having a hard time with this new educational landscape, and I totally agree, because all children are learning from home, right? Most of the children across this nation are learning from home. Homeschool families are responsible for purchasing the textbooks and instructional materials of their choice. School districts are not required to provide curriculum, textbooks, or materials to homeschool families. This is why you see such a major push for funding that is public tax dollars to follow the student and not the system. Why? Because I find this to be a form of inequitable practices. I don't want to really call it discrimination, but it is, every student should have the ability to learn in the environment that's best suited for them. They shouldn't be forced because of cost or lack of financial resources to go to somewhere the parents may feel that is going to fail them or is against what their practices in their home are, their value system, their morals, their beliefs, whatever that may be. And so, you know, we've spent a history of time as taxpayers funding the public traditional education system that continues to ask for more and more funding, and then yet we see a lot of failure coming out of that. And disrupting that thought process is thinking of ways that those public dollars can follow students, and how can that be done at a rate that is not what is being claimed to be the cost associated with educating children, right? Student records. Remember I was talking about paying attention to how you do with your record keeping, just in case any of that comes into question. Again, currently today, talking about the state of Michigan education code, homeschooling rights, parent rights. Definitely want you to activate those. People that may want me to talk about policies in their area can contact me either in the chat or via email, Christina@mpunion.org. I got this one as a request, and so this is why I'm going over this, and will continue to do so on Tuesdays. So required testing, so student records. Parents, you're encouraged to maintain student records of progress throughout the year, and I would say that I agree with that. You know, definitely want to have recording of the key areas that you're teaching your children in, and how they're progressing, just in case it ever comes into question. These records will assist, you know, school personnel with placement should the student enroll in a public or non-public school. You know, sometimes there are students that enroll in a public or non-public school and they don't have records. I've been involved in situations like this before, advocating on behalf of parents. They don't have the records, and so they have to do some testing to assess where the student is and what grade level where they should be given. And so just knowing, you know, this information is useful. Granting of credits and placement of students is solely determined by the receiving school. So I do have to tell you that I had a situation with parents that moved, relocated from one state to another, and because their records were not trackable, I don't know how that happened. They were not able to get the high school credits that they should have had. And so a lot of those classes had to be retaken, and the parent continued to like petition the school board to allow, you know, an affidavit stating that the students had already received those credits, but without proof. Guess what? School board decided to say, no, you're going to retake, the child has to retake these classes, which actually put them behind for their expected graduation date. Okay. Required testing. There are no required tests in the state of Michigan for a homeschooled student, okay? The parent is responsible for administering tests based on the curriculum they use. So if you use a BECA, are there assessments that go with that? If you use something else, whatever that may be, are there assessments that go along with that, that help you either, you know, transition the content into what is more acceptable for your child, whatever that may be. You want to help your child be successful. If you're choosing to homeschool, absent of your child being enrolled formally in any formal program, then you definitely want to know, is it successful? How am I measuring their success? How am I keeping them successful? How am I transitioning from grade to grade? I personally like curriculum that if, you know, your child is exiting third grade and entering into fourth, it will transition them by giving a review of some of the things that they, content key areas that they learned in third grade going into fourth grade content, right? Those are things that I personally like. the review and then the transition into new content, but you may not, utilize that same format. That's just me. The supervision and control of interscholastic athletics are the responsibility of each local board of education. So you guys definitely want to be paying attention to what your local boards are putting out and making sure that it represents your community well. Don't assume that the people that are sitting in these decision-making positions are holding the best interest of you and your child and your family and your community. They need to hear from you. Your voices need to be inserted in this decision-making process. That's why here at we at National Parents Union always say the authentic voice of parents needs to be heard. Decisions absent that are not decisions that are made in the best interest of us and our families. Here is something to know about high schoolers if you're going to be homeschooling work permits. Homeschool students may obtain a work permit from their local public school, okay? Again, funding. There are no public funds available for homeschoolers. So I just wanted to share the basic foundational rules with you guys about it. I want you to make sure that you pay attention to the exemptions. I talked about them. I talked about the age, right? And I talked about special education and how that can be, you can apply for special services through your local district if you feel like your child is going to require that, right? And there are some exemptions. I talked about the key areas of content and material, right? I talked about the fact that it's voluntary, right? But there are compulsory school attendance laws, okay? Here's roles and responsibilities, okay? All of these things I will be providing you in the chat. Now, here is something that you might want to pay attention to, because this is where people get a little bit confused at times. See stuff on the news like, oh my gosh, we can't homeschool anymore. Well, pay attention to what happens. So right here it said, and this was in April, that Michigan governor inadvertently banned homeschooling until nonprofit law firm steps in, right? So apparently the governor issued an executive order closing all public school buildings, of course, because of COVID-19. But that executive order inadvertently banned homeschooling because of the language in that order. This is why it's very important to pay attention. But because people were paying attention, like I said, we should all be doing, they have clarified that homeschool is definitely not prohibited and that it is still allowed. You cannot just ban something through crafty language, right? Maybe it was something that was overlooked. I don't know the certain circumstances, but it applied. The law defines homeschools as non-public schools. Well, we saw before that you weren't supposed to do that because non-public schools have a different kind of accountability than actual parents have to homeschool their own children. So anyway, I wanted to just show you that sometimes if you're just seeing the one side and you didn't see the outcome and you didn't follow it all the way through, it's going to be a scary thought like, oh my God, they just banned homeschool. Well, no, actually, someone came in. Now, I have to let you know, there's not always going to be someone to come save the day. We need to be watching. We need to be right there to say, no, you're taking away our rights. Can't do that. Here's what's need to happen, and take it all the way to court if we have to, just like this law firm did. So there was a provision in the executive order that was made after they caught it. And you can find that information in the executive order 2020-35. If you're in the state of Michigan and you want to know this information, saying that it is no longer effective, about what is no longer effective, okay? So it's going to be talking about and delineating for you homeschooling, in-person instruction. If you have any questions, you can contact me about anything you see on here. showing you how to navigate through education in your area. Okay. There's questions and answers right here. Implementation. Okay. Now pay attention to down here where it says related content. Here are a list of executive orders that are still in effect and executive orders that are no longer effective. Okay, might want to check that out. If you have any questions, ask someone. I don't understand this. Can you help me understand what's happening? And so basically just wanted to give you a breakdown of what is happening in the state of Michigan with regards to homeschooling. Yes, you parents, guardians, families, caretakers do have the right to homeschool. That has not been taken away from you. You do have the right to non-public school attendance or local school attendance. And if your child has special needs, you have the right to request those through your LEA. All kinds of little things and exceptions and rulings in between there. Just wanted to really, really help you understand you do have the right to homeschool. It is a voluntary reporting, but I would suggest that you keep your records just in case any of it is called into question. You just don't know these situations, I'm sorry, and circumstances come up where parents educating their children from home, parents and families have been called into question, you know, various reasons on that. We won't go into that. But you having the documentation, record keeping, just good record keeping is something that you definitely want to have. Your child, if in high school, has a right to apply for a work permit if they reach those work permit ages. You as a parent, guardians, or families will be issuing those transcripts, diplomas, and graduation criteria if you decide to homeschool all the way through 12th grade. You do not have to be certificated, certified, have a degree, whatever those requirements were at prior times to homeschool your children, right? And so if you would like a list of resources that will help you find some quality curriculum if you're deciding to go out and step out into this realm, then definitely contact me. Again, I'm going to come back after I end this live, and I'm going to put the resources that I shared with you in the chat. Look at them. If you have any questions, reach out. I don't expect anybody to just understand all of this stuff in one day. And so always willing and available to answer your questions. Now, with regards to what we're doing here at National Parents Union, definitely be watching out for the Every Family Votes. Listen, we're putting Every Family Votes pictures and things up, but really, honestly, seriously, you and your family, everyone of voting age needs to get out and vote. Find out what is the rules. I got a letter in the mail from the United States Postal Service telling me what to do and what to expect and to do it ahead of time, right? I'm not sure everyone got that letter. We definitely want everyone's votes to be counted in the up and coming election. Make sure that you're paying attention not only to the presidential candidates, but that you are also understanding who is running locally, right? They have a lot of control over what happens in your area. Make sure you're paying attention. I would definitely research what they've done to prove that they're going to be able to keep the promises that they say they are. And if they're not, hold them to task on that, right? Don't just say, oh, well, this is a good sounding name and maybe no. You need to understand, are they going to be transparent? Are they going to be accountable to the people? Are they going to do what they said, right? And if they have a history of not, then in my on my personal ballot, I won't be voting for people like that. You make that decision, but we definitely want to make sure that you're all registered and ready to go vote. Every family votes. So there's other shows during the daytime. Again, I said on Tuesdays I will be following different regions upon request, looking at policies that impact our children and families across the nation, and helping to delineate and break down what that means for you and your home so that you're fully equipped to thrive, so that your child is successful. And I wish that all of you are having a wonderful day, right? So thank you guys for watching. We've been watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Laster, National Parents Union. I hope you all stay well. I hope you all thrive. Goodbye to America's beautiful children. We love you, and we will see you again next time on Tuesday for Managing Day to Day. But in the meantime, check out some of our amazing delegates from across the nation who have shows on the National Parents Union Facebook page, Facebook page all day. You can find something. There's something for everyone there. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.